Welcome back to episode 17 of our programming series. We're going to be talking about input and output now. So this is one of the most vital parts of programming because the whole point of programming is to take input and turn it into some sort of useful output. So first off, if we can't get input, then we can't produce output. So we need a way to get input, whether it be from the user or a file. And then if we can't even see what the output is, then what's the point of it? So we need a way to actually see the output, whether it be to the console or to a file somewhere. So here in Java, we use this line system.out.print, and then whatever we want to print, it can be a variable too. So if I did this, if I just said string my line equals hello, and then I could end that, and now I could just put the my line in there instead of the actual line. So there you go, and it would do the same thing. So let's talk about this line a little bit. So system, I believe, is just specifying what operating system you're using and how to actually print the print the pixels onto the screen, and then the second dot out here is specifying actually where we're going to print those pixels. So we can print this data here to either the console down here, or we can save it and we can print it out to a file. So that's what's known as a stream, and I might talk about that a little more, we'll see. And then this third one, dot print, is basically specifying how exactly we're going to print it. So if I run this here, it'll print out hello and hello, and you'll see they're right next to each other, and that's just what this dot print specifies. It says just print it and don't do anything else. Now if I back up first off and do dot, there's IntelliSense, and I start writing print, you can see there's a whole bunch of options. So I'm going to find the one that says print line. And so what this means is that we're going to print out whatever's in here, and then we're going to move to the next line. So now we'll see this differently. It'll say hello, next line, and then hello. So that's just what the third command is specifying. Anyways, we can do this in each programming language because that's the whole point of programming. In C++, we use cout from the IOStream library. In Python, we just use print because Python's easy. I'm gonna get some haters, but Python is super easy, and you just say print and then whatever you want to print. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on to input here. So in Java, we have to actually create a scanner object. So I've talked about what an object is, I believe, but we haven't talked about it in depth. So we're just going to call actually we got to include a library. So this scanner class is actually found in java.util, I believe. So we can actually find that here in the JRE system library. So we'll look for java.util, and there it is. Now we'll open that. We're gonna look for java.util.scanner. So thank goodness this is alphabetized. Let's see here. Yep, scanner class, there it is, and scanner. So all we have to do is import. This isn't a pre-processing directive here because this is Java and it's an interpreted language, but anyway, it's the same idea of bringing in code that's already written. So import java.util.scanner, it's capitalized, scanner, and there you go. I think I might need, I need a semicolon because it's not a preprocessor directive. Anyway, now we can use the scanner class and define a scanner object. So scanner, and we'll say my scanner is equal to a new scanner. We haven't learned what this line really means, just bear with me here. We'll get to this eventually. Anyway, what's this doing? Oh yeah, that's right, I gotta do system.in. There you go. Okay, see, I had to specify what the scanner is actually pulling from. So we're going to be typing our input into this console, but you could as easily write your input into a file, a text file. So for example, I could create a text file, open it, and then write some stuff, save it, and then I could specify the stream to do a file instead of the console. But anyway, our scanner is now getting the input from the console. So now what we can say is, let's actually change this my line. So we'll say my line is equal to my scanner, if I can spell, scanner dot next line. Here it is, next line. So what this is going to do is it's going to get the next line that we wrote into the console, and I don't know why it's giving me this. Oh, that's why. I spelled it wrong. It's a capital L. There we go. Anyways, now if we go ahead and run this, it'll print out our hellos. Like, actually, let's just get rid of this. And then we can get rid of this because we're not printing that yet. So we'll do that, and then we're going to get the input. So let's run this after we save it. There we go. And now it's not going to say anything, but it's waiting for us to input stuff. That's why it's called a scanner. It's scanning for input. So now we're going to say hello, and then it's done. So you can see here it says terminated. That means the program's done, and it saved hello into this variable myline. Now if we go ahead and use that method of printing out, we can use system.out, so we're printing to the console instead of file, and we're going to say print line, and we're going to pass in my line like we've done like that. Now if we go ahead and save that and run it, now it's waiting for our input, so we're going to say hello, and then it'll just print that back out. So yeah, that's the basics of input output. I do want to say that usually when you get input, you're going to premise it. I think that's the word. Premise it with a by saying something to the user. So you would say like input here, something like that, and then you would end that, and then they put in their actual input. So you usually want to tell the user when you're wanting input. So now we'd say hello, and then yeah, okay, so you can see here system.out.print doesn't need any library. We can just output directly to whatever stream we want, whether that be the console or a file. So with .out we specify the console, and then to get input with Java we need to include this library here. So we need to create a scanner object and then use that object to get the next line. I think that's kind of complicated just to get input. Anyway, let's look at the C++ way of doing things. So I think it's a lot simpler with C++. All we have to do is include the outstream library, which makes sense. It's the input output stream library. And I've mentioned briefly what a stream is, so I'll just expand on this a little bit. A stream is exactly where we're sending or getting the data from. So this could be, in most cases, a file or to the screen, whether it be a console or the CMD. The command prompt. So for C++, we just include that library, and then we specify what namespace we're using. I've talked about namespaces and what they do, so I'm not gonna repeat that. Anyway, now we can just say cout and then whatever our data is, so hello, like that, and end it. And now in the command prompt, let me just clear some room. So now we can just compile this .c main.cpp, and then we'll go ahead and link it. So -o, that's not o, runme.exe, and then the object file. There you go. And then runme.exe and hello. So I think that's quite a bit easier. And one thing to denote is the cout means that we're printing to the screen. So you can see it's printing the data to the screen. And then to actually get input, we say cin and then use the other Angular brackets here and get whatever data we want. So let me just define int num like that, and then we'll get the num from the user. But like I said, we should probably prompt the user that we're actually wanting data from them. So we'll say enter num here or something like that, and then save it, recompile it, and link it and run it. There you go, enter num 3, and then I should probably print out 3. Oops. So we'll just, actually you can just believe me, it'll print out 3 if we say cout num. So that's basic input output and the definition of what a stream is.